Hi everybody, and welcome to our week number 4 intro psych Twitch live stream. Hope everyone is doing well and surviving our warm weather. It's going to be a very hot week. It is September. Happy September. I see a bunch of you getting logged in. I know we're a little later than normal. I'm going to move the time back, as I mentioned previously, so that I can stream from home and have a way better connection online with all of you. I have much better internet apparently at home than we do at the campus. So hopefully this makes it a clear, smoother experience, even if it is a little bit later. So sorry for the change, but I hope in the end it is a good thing. If someone could let me know in the chat, can you hear and see me okay? That would be amazing. If you could give me like a thumbs up or a yes or something along those lines, I would appreciate it. I'm gonna wait just a second just to make sure. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Everything is like coming through clear and quickly on my end, so I think that's a great thing. We are in week number 4. So if we scroll down, we are right here in weeks 3 and 4. So everything from week number 3 opened up last week, and that's what we covered in our stream last week. We talked about chapter 5 and 6, discussion 5 and 6, and then that short self-assessment. So if you haven't done everything from week number 3, it's still open. I would definitely recommend doing that. What we're going to focus on is week number 4, since that is the week we are currently in. And as usual, you have 2 chapters, 2 discussions, and because it is an even week, you also have our second exam. So let's go through each of those components together, and then I'll of course give you your extra credit question and see if you have any questions for me. So looking at this, our 2 chapters for this week are chapters 7 and 8 on memory and cognition. So as always, you want to do 3 things for each chapter. Read the chapter in the ebook, read through the lecture, and watch the lecture video. So make sure you do that for chapter 7 and chapter 8. Don't forget to click on anything that's in there, explore all the links, watch all the videos. Everything together is going to give you an opportunity to understand the materials. You do have 2 discussions this week. So discussion number 7 is based on chapter 7. And as always, you have my instructions up here at the top. Don't forget to watch my little video. Also, don't forget to think about these more like mini papers. Really elaborate and show off your knowledge and understanding. If you found that you missed a few points on the first 2 weeks of discussions, give me a little bit more. But the topic for this one is memory. And so you're going to need to watch the video to get a 28-digit sequence of letters and numbers, along with my example of how I held on to it. And then what you're going to write about, if you needed to retain that 28-digit sequence in order and you have no way of writing it down, you have to rely solely on your memory, how would you do that for a matter of seconds? And what if you needed to do it for a matter of days? And so what I want you to think about are 2 different techniques, and I really want you to describe. So if you decide you're going to chunk it, tell me how you would break it up. If you're going to make a story, share the story. So make sure you really describe the technique that you would use and give me some specifics. I'm also looking to see that you have a different method for seconds versus days. They should be a little bit different, connecting to the materials from chapter 7. Then you'll describe in detail 2 specific strategies, either in the book or lecture, that you could use to help you study for an exam. And then do you have any personal tips for memory that you would like to share? What are some strategies you use in your personal life? It could be strategies that people in your life use if you don't have one. But what are some of the things that maybe you do or people you know do to hold on to things in their memory? So you'll hit reply, then don't forget to reply to a classmate. Let's say I really like the way that Kenny described it, right? I could reply to Kenny. So make sure you're also replying to a classmate to get those 2 points for each discussion. For discussion number 8, this one is related to cognition. So again, as always, you have my instructions up here at the top. You have my video underneath it, and then the questions. So down here, right, in your own words, how would you define intelligence? You could give me a definition. You could also describe some attributes or behaviors that you associate with people who are intelligent. Kind of describe what intelligence means to you and some characteristics of someone who is intelligent. What are some things that you can do to increase your intelligence? This was covered in the book and the lecture. And then finally, and this is definitely the biggest part of this discussion, the lecture and the book talk about 3 characteristics that any test should have in order to be good. And so I'd like you to describe and define those characteristics, maybe give me an example, really elaborate to show me that you understand them. This is the part where people tend to lose some points. Give me a little bit more than a definition, right? Definitely expand on that and really highlight your understanding down here. And you'll hit reply. And again, don't forget to reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. You don't want to miss out on those or they will add up over time. You also have exam number 2 this week. So remember that everything from weeks 1 and 2 is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So be mindful of that. For the exam, as always, you do have a study guide right here underneath it. So if you click on the study guide, you'll see that this one is on chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. So just everything in this 2-week chunk of time. So make sure that if it's on here that you know it. If it's not on here, you can let it go. You don't have to worry about studying it. So there is your study guide. And when you are ready, the link to the exam, you can click on it here. It will remind you that the exam is on the ebook page. So remember that all the exams are on the ebook site. And so that is going to be where you are taking them. And just like the first exam, some tips and reminders. So you have 75 minutes to complete the exam. Make sure that you are aware of the time. You can always skip a question if you don't know the answer and come back to it. But you have 75 minutes and you get 1 attempt. You can use your notes, you can use your book, you can use anything at your disposal. A lot of you did a beautiful job on that first exam, so if what you did last time worked for you, maybe consider doing the same thing. If you wish you had done better, I would really recommend that you work on the study guide. The study guide is your best friend for the exam. If it were me, and again, it's totally up to you how you want to prepare, but if it were me, I would complete the study guide. I would have it out and in front of me. That way you can reference it. You're not kind of searching through everything trying to find the answers. I think that's a really good way to prepare and study and make sure that you're organized. I would really encourage you, make sure that you have 75 minutes. You have good internet, you have a quiet place to take the exam, and you've studied and prepared. So set yourself up for success. Don't wait till Sunday night to take it. Try to take it even before Sunday if you can, just to make sure that you're not waiting until the very last minute. Also remember that your scores don't come over automatically into Canvas. So when I grade everything on Monday next week, I will bring that score over so you can see how you did. But the ebook site will tell you right after you finish. So if you're curious right away, you won't have to wait very long. So please study, please prepare. I want you to do really well on the exam. There's no trick questions. As long as you study and prepare, you should be in really, really good shape. I will, of course, post the recording of this when we're done today. There's a little checklist right here if you'd like to make sure that you've done everything. But make sure that everything that's listed under week 3 and 4 you've completed, and you'll be in really good shape. The other thing I, of course, have for you is that extra credit question and some reminders. As we kind of fall into the rhythm of our class, these will be kind of short and sweet. But are there any questions for me? I'm going to give you some reminders, but if you have any questions for me, this would be a wonderful time to ask them. Otherwise, I typed this up already, so I'm going to put it in here. If you could always, every week, take a moment to make sure that you're still subscribed. And if you haven't figured this out, you still can. Remember, if you're watching this as a recording, you can still earn those extra credit points by answering the question in Canvas if you're subscribed. And I think that's a really good opportunity for you to make a couple of points up if you lost them somewhere. No, so that's, I mean, obviously if Canvas gets shut down, then, if Canvas or the ebook site is down, then we will obviously like roll with that. But that's why I'm really encouraging you. I would take it early. If you run into a problem, just make sure that you reach out to me before the deadline. So if on Sunday your power is out and you waited till Sunday to take it, make sure you send me a quick email and say, my power is out. I have no way to take it. If you reach out to me before the deadline, I will of course be happy to give you an extension. But yeah, that's a valid concern with by Sunday, it's supposed to be, down to about 100 degrees, which isn't as awful. But Friday, it's supposed to be like 109. So definitely plan ahead. Try and take it early if you can, but hopefully hopefully it won't be an issue. Just if you run into a problem and you don't have access, just make sure you reach out to me before the deadline, and I'll, of course, be happy to work with you. Okay, so double check your subscription status. The other reminder for you, let me put this in the chat as well. If you're looking ahead to next week, oops. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, September 11th at 12:15 p.m. So again, I'm sticking with this time. I know it's a little later than we started out with, but I think it's going to be really perfect for allowing us to have these really nice connections, right? It's so far, knock on wood, there hasn't been any issues with lagging or the video or anything. So I think that's going to be perfect. So no, I'm not looking for a specific word count, but if you go back here, if you go all the way up to the beginning and you look at some of these, I do have an example for you here. Where did it go? Oh, it's in each discussion. That's why. So if you go back to this week's discussion, for example, like discussion number 8, up here at the top, right? So I have this discussion rubric and sample page. And so you can see here, right, I have some tips for how to earn full points. Here's a sample discussion. So notice how it's like basically a paragraph for each question. That's kind of on par of what I'm looking for. And then the peer response is like a sentence or two. That one's much shorter. I'm just looking for you to elaborate and show off that you understand it. So if you've answered the question fully and you've described and defined everything, you don't need to make it artificially long. Just make sure that you have really like elaborated in your responses and shown off that you do understand it. But those, in each discussion, you can click on that if you'd like to see that sample. And that's someone, you could also, what I would do if it were me, if I were a student, and this isn't a bad idea to consider, is so, I'm sorry, I'm in student view right now, so let me get out of that. But let's say on discussion number 8, right? Oh, has nobody replied to it yet? Oh, let me go back. So what I would do if it were me, and I'm just trying to get back to our week here, is I would look at what other people are saying. So I would give an idea of like what other people are doing on their discussion. So let's say some people had already done discussion 7, I believe. Let's take a look at that. And so like if you notice, right, so here's 1 and 2, right? So you can kind of get an idea, right? It looks like this is kind of like a standard amount that people are responding with. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that or maybe even a little bit more. So I think that's a good gauge as well. If you look at what other people are doing, it might give you a good idea if you're kind of measuring up to what the class is doing. That's what I would do if it were me, is just kind of get an idea by looking at other people's responses. And that might also help you with figuring out what you want to say as well. Okay, good questions. Both of them are good questions. So let me give you the extra credit question. I did write this out ahead of time, so I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat. And this is the week number 4. So week number 4, Twitch extra credit question. What does it mean that our short-term memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information? What does it mean that our short-term memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information? And if you'd like to answer that, you go onto Canvas, and then since we're in week 4, you'd click on optional Twitch extra credit number 4 right here. And then up at the top, you'll click on Start Assignment, and it brings up that text box where you can type your response. Oops. And then you can hit Submit Assignment to get your confetti burst and 4-leaf clovers. Very lucky. And remember, if you're here with me live, you can answer that. If you're watching this later as a recording, make sure you're subscribed, and then you can still answer it and get those points. So big things for this week. If you haven't done week 3, go back and finish all that up. Focus on week 4 as well, discussion 7, 8, and exam number 2, along with the extra credit. And then next week on Wednesday, we'll have our next live stream, and we'll go from there. We'll be past the halfway point after this week. So I hope everyone stays cool. It's going to be really, really hot. So drink lots of water, stay cool, take care of yourselves. Again, happy September. What I will do is I'm going to hang out for a little while. If you do have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, if you're feeling good, you are welcome to go and get going on the materials for this week. Thank you so much for those of you who joined me here live. I really appreciate your company and the questions and the interaction. And if you're watching this later, thank you for that too. Otherwise, I will hope to see you all next Wednesday for our next stream. I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a few minutes if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, again, have a wonderful week, and I will hope to see you next week. Thank you. Thank you as well. And I am still here. If any of you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat.